back to the JRPG Academy. My name is Michael, and if it's your first time here, this particular video series just basically talks about different topics in JRPGdom and just different tropes and just different discussion topics that may pop up. Today's topic is going to be one of my favorites, which is Falcom. Falcom is one of my favorite JRPG companies in the entire world. I love them dearly. They make some of the most incredible games, but there is a slight issue that's come up, and it's come up quite a bit with a lot of their games, which is the release of new titles. So in Japan, when they release a new game, of course it comes out, but unfortunately they don't do simultaneous worldwide releases. So that means people who speak English have to wait a very long time for the game to come out in America and the rest of the Western world. Now, for people who live in Asia, they do come out with the Korean and Chinese versions of these games maybe 3 or 4 months to maybe 6 months later most times. And that's because, of course, Japanese and Korean and Chinese, I think the characters, a lot of them are very similar, so translating those games are a lot less taxing than what it is to translate a game from Japanese to English. And this has become an issue for quite a while. I remember when, Trails of Cold Steel 2 came out, there was an issue about the fact that Trails to Azure and Trails to Zero weren't out yet, but those were really integral games in the overall arching, Trails universe, especially at that time, because those games work in parallel to each other. So a lot of story beats and plot points and characters intertwined with each other. So having a game, especially Trails of Cold Steel 3, where a lot of the games interlock when it comes to like characters and plot lines, it would be kind of hard for people who didn't play those other two games to really get what was going on with certain plot points and stuff moving forward in the series. So that was an issue, but of course they announced, last year? NIS America announced that they would be releasing all the games. They're releasing Trails to Zero and Trails to Azure will be coming out in 2022, which is this year, and in 2023. And Hajime no Kiseki, which is actually now titled Trails to Reverie, will be coming out in 2023, I believe. It was 2024. I forgot what the release schedule was looking like. But there's still a fact that Trails, the newest one that came in Japan, which is Kiro no Kiseki, is out in Japan right now. And actually the new sequel, part 2, I think it's called Crimson Sin, comes out this year in Japan as well. So we're going to have 2 more games that haven't been localized yet. So it just makes the list of games to have to play in this series just even more harder to get to, because we're gonna be waiting like 6 or 7 years almost just to get to the latest game. And it seems like Falcom's not really, slowing down when it comes to developing these games. Like, they're definitely developing like yearly almost. So we're gonna probably have like a lot of games coming out in like 4 or 5 years. So it's just like the actual backlog they have to translate going to be really cumbersome. Now, I am happy that they were able to get the other 2 games from the PSP to be localized, because that was going to be a job in itself. I mean, a lot of people who have already played them, well, I won't say a lot of people, I will say the very, very, very devout and very crazed fan like myself have already played the version that had a fan translation a while ago. Which brings me to another point, actually, that the fan translation of the game was actually bought by Falcom for Trails to Azure and Trails from Zero. Geofront is the name of the localization team, the translation team that did it, and Falcom actually bought the rights to their translation that they did and actually brought them on board to help with the official translation of the games coming out in this year and next year, which is actually cool. I think that's actually a really good solution, because Kondo did an interview and he spoke about the fact that, there's a really long gap in between each game when it comes to the US versions being localized. So the question was, the series of Falcom games in the West have risen, yet there's currently a 3-year gap between Trails into Reverie projected Western release date and the original Japanese launch. Nowadays, many companies have transitioned to worldwide simultaneous releases. I understand if day and date releases are impossible for Falcom, but a 3-year gap is way too much. Is there any possibility that the release cycle could be sped up? Now, Kondo answered saying, there are a number of internal circumstances with partners, publishers in NIS America that are outside of our control, but we will also prefer if the release pacing could improve. You have to consider that Trails is a very text-heavy series, and such translation takes time. That being said, the gap between the domestic and Western release is absolutely a problem, and we would like to work with NISA to improve the situation going forward if possible. Now, some people construed that as them throwing them under the bus for This America. I took that as more so saying that they're a small company like us, and this is a big job that would take a lot more resources to do. So I didn't see as much as a hit towards This America. Some people thought that was like throwing them under the bus, but I mean, there's other things at play as well, as far as like licensing and copyrights and stuff too that goes into this. So it's more than just them taking a long time to translate this stuff. But I prefer to translate this game at the pace they're going, as far as like taking their time to do it, with the manpower they actually do have and the resources they have, versus like speeding through it and we get Yeast 8 Lacrimosa of Adana first draft of the localization. Like, that first draft that came out originally with the game was not that great, and they had to actually go back and redo lines and redo text and stuff for the entire game. So I want to take their time to do this, but also I wish there was a way for them to, like, I don't know, I mean, there are some solutions that could be done with this, and I have a couple of myself I think that might, work. So one of my things I thought about was actually having an actual office in America for Falcom. I think having an office here would help the process a lot better as well. I've noticed a lot of other companies have done this. They will, like, I think, Arc System Works, which is a Japanese fighting game company. They have an office here now in California, and a lot of the companies have done this as well, because they noticed that they need to have more communication between the Japanese office and America, since how they actually have a really good base of sales here. So you need to have a base of actual operations here as well. I think that would probably help too. Another solution, which is probably more of a big brain thing, is if they got bought out by Sony. I know right now, like, the whole talks of acquisitions is like being thrown around so much around the game industry. Like, everyone's talking about acquisition this, acquisition that, buy this, buy that. I think if Sony bought a lot of smaller Japanese companies, that would be great, especially Falcom. They could definitely use the manpower and the resources that Sony has, because Sony could just throw money at this. Like, this is definitely a situation where if they had more money and resources, they could easily do a simultaneous release for a lot of their games. So if they had the manpower and the resources and the reach that Sony had, or could provide for them being under their umbrella, that could definitely help to speed up this process as well. Because right now Falcom's mainly considered an indie company by most standards, so they don't have the manpower, and even This America's still pretty small as well, and you got like maybe 10 or 15 people trying to translate the game. Like, this game, like, one Trails game is usually the equivalent of like 3 normal RPGs in terms of like dialogue and length and like dialogue and script and all that stuff. So that's a lot of work. That's a lot of manpower you need to get that stuff done. Not to mention, if they want to localize this and do voice acting too, that's a lot of like voice work they gotta do as well. So I think if they had like a big company like Sony behind them, they can get that done a lot quicker. They can do simultaneous worldwide releases, which would be so good. I think that would help the company a lot, actually. So first idea, which is an office in the US, which would probably be super expensive, and probably they don't have the money for that, be absorbed by Sony, which has its own ups and downs to it. I mean, there's probably some issues that might come up with, like, I don't know, censorship, or just like them putting their hands into it a little bit more. Like, I kind of want Falcom to do what they do and not be controlled by a bigger entity, because I know if they're bought out by a big company, they're gonna probably try to like make a lot of changes to this series, which may not be good for it. So ideally, I would want a company to just like give them money and that's it, and just have a hands-off approach to it. But that's not usually how big corporations work like that. So yeah, I would love if like a big company bought them out and just gave them money and let them do what they do. That would be ideal, but that's really wishful thinking. Another solution would probably be crowdfunding. A lot of companies have done this. It does help. I've seen, I think one of the biggest examples of crowdfunding will probably be Shenmue 3. I don't think the game even probably existed. Well, I think Sony already gave them money to make it, but having the proof of concept that people want to play this game, and they made that $3 million mark, and all other games too have done really well with crowdfunding as well. So I think if they did a crowdfunding campaign, for worldwide release for the next game, I think it will work. I definitely would give them money. I mean, they've done an exceptional job with games over the years, so I don't see why I wouldn't give them money now, actually. what was my last one? Yeah, get bought out by a bigger company, have a US office, or do crowdfunding. I think those are probably some. Oh, my last one, I forgot. Some of these fan translations are really good. Like, they're really, really good. I think they need to start just, outsourcing this a lot more beyond just NIS America. I think they should do like more. I don't know what the technical word would be for it, but they need to just do more outsourcing. That would probably be better, and just have like NIS America be like the central hub, and they do like the finer tune tweaks and stuff to the script and everything. But overall, like, have smaller companies do the actual like grunt work of the translation, and then have NIS America and Falcom like come together and do like the final touches, and just like the overall tone and characterization, all that stuff. Like, have them be like the supervisor of everything, and then boom, we have translated stuff before we have to wait 3 or 4 years for it to come out. Because I'm pretty sure Kyono Kaseki is going to take us at least 4 or 5 years for it to come out in America. Like, it's going to be a while. We're going to be waiting for quite some time. And yeah, I think that's probably a good like solution. I mean, are these feasible solutions? Who knows? I'm not like I don't work in the industry. I'm just a guy here with the microphone talking about things that could be useful, but I think someone who probably has more expertise will probably be able to like give more insight to it than I could ever. But these are just my ideas. I mean, you might have some too. Like, what do you think could be a solution to this Falcom problem? Do they think to just like, get another company to do it? Do they need to get bought out? They need more money. Well, of course they need more money. Falcom definitely needs more money all the time. They can always use more money. But yeah, what do you guys think of a solution to this issue? Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning into this new episode. Please like, subscribe, share, and comment for the algorithm. We really appreciate everyone who subscribed to the channel and people who engage with us. It helps the channel grow a lot more, so maybe we can see our content. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.
Don't forget to subscribe!